My name is Jacob Arabine. I'm a private detective. I'm investigating the case that is known as the Freddy's Pizzeria disappearances. Even though nothing was ever recovered from the investigation a couple of years ago. However, the parents and relatives of these children have come to me in need of my abilities. I, myself, do not blame them for coming here and asking me to look into it. I have to admit that Freddy's Pizzeria always gave me a chilling feeling in my spine whenever I drove past it in my car, glancing at its bold, innocent, but yet disturbing lettering at the front spelling Freddy's Pizzeria. Children started to disappear in the local neighborhood. No disturbing noises were ever reported. In fact, in all cases, the parents of the kidnapped children had no idea their child was taken from them until the next morning. Also, in all the cases, all the children that had went missing had gone to Freddy's Pizzeria the same day they were kidnapped. This was pretty much all the police investigators had on Freddy's Pizzeria, as nothing else was discovered when police arrived to investigate. There was no putrid smell of rotting corpses. Thank God. I mean, for Christ's sake, they're only children. Nothing was broken in the room that may have been caused in a struggle or fight. No blood was ever found, no locks of hairs, nothing. My face was not recognized by Freddy's Pizzeria. I have never been inside. It's those damn mechanical animals that get me. They seem to be alive, but yet dead inside. Something that lives with no soul, just hollow. Their eyes scanned every nook and cranny of the room they had entered with a slow, disturbing twist of their heads. I've always hated things like that, but I'm a man now. I should not let my child fears cause me any discomfort. Knowing that staff or its security cameras have not seen my face, I thought it would be best to go undercover this time. It was an effective but risky way to get evidence or to catch one of the staff members red-handed. It just so happens that Freddy's Pizzeria is looking for staff for the night shift. It seemed like it was the only place available, and I don't think many would apply for the job, especially if it's night shift. The place is creepy even during the day, and it also says, not responsible for any personal injury or dismemberment. So I decided to apply for the job and go undercover. Not long after that day I was accepted. What a shocker. The only thing now was to pass the interview. Piece of cake. I've been in much higher pressured interviews than the likes of this one. When I went for the interview, I knew I would have to go inside that building. That building which looked at me every time I drove past it, or mocked me if I only had enough courage to even glance at it for a second. My reason for only giving a glance was, I was on the road. I didn't want to cause an accident over a childish fear. But the truth was, I was terrified of the place, and thought that when I looked away from it, it would change into this building from hell that would rip the souls of anyone who dared tread on its despicable land. The inside seemed innocent enough that with bright colors suited for children and with many pictures of the robots designed to look like characters on the billboards. Each of the characters had a name. There was Foxy, who looked like a rabid fox with piercing eyes. He was the thinnest of all characters, and looked like he hadn't belonged in the group of happy characters. He looked rather sad, actually. Something was wrong with Foxy, though. He wasn't operating correctly, and was placed out of order. He was set in Pirate's Cove, while the rest of them were put in a separate room. Foxy also had this rusty crooked claw of a pirate, where his hand should be. It didn't seem safe for children to go near Foxy, as his teeth looked razor sharp, and may cause severe damage. Then there was Freddy the bear, obviously the main character of the place, since it was named after him. He was short, but had watchful eyes you could not escape from. His teeth were spread apart, and the teeth looked so... I was impressed by the detail that was put into them. Chica the chicken was the one I hated the most. She had bulging eyes that watched you like Freddy's, but with more of a murderous look to them. Her jaw was broken, causing it to fall to her neck and hang from one side, which was still under repair. I heard about the chicken's jaw outside of Freddy's Pizzeria months ago. Why haven't they fixed it yet? After all this time? It made no sense. Chica was the most disturbing looking one out of all the characters, especially with her jaw having a set of teeth and the top not having a single tooth. Then, finally, there was Bonnie, the bunny. Bonnie was the largest out of all the characters. He had teeth like Freddy's, piercing eyes like Foxy's, but less psychopathic looking. Bonnie was also large like Chica, but he filled out more around the legs and arms than Chica did. Bonnie had pointed ears that just missed the height of the doors. He seemed to be the most active out of all the characters. The thing that was unusual about him, that stood out more than anything else, was that he was colored an indigo color rather than a classic white with a pink stomach and nose. Bonnie was colored indigo, his stomach was still pink, but his nose was black, charcoal black. As I went through the place, the staff looked at me as if they pitied me, as they already knew that Freddy's Pizzeria only needed a night shift person and no one else. They gave me a glance of sympathy until I made it to the interview room. It was quiet and lonely. It felt like years had passed, until finally I was called into the room for my interview. As I had expected, I passed the interview with flying colors and was ready to go undercover. I was given my uniform and a badge and was ready to go into my new temporary job. The uniform was tacky. The top was colored a sickly yellow that reminded me of Chica, with a picture of all the characters from Freddy's Pizzeria. Also with a purple badge that displayed my name with a cheesy cliche, "Hello, my name is." As if I was incapable of introducing myself. As I drove to work around 11:30 p.m., I felt slightly disturbed and nervous all of a sudden. I hated the look of Freddy's Pizzeria. There was no question about that. It made me feel sick at times whenever I saw it. I would often sigh in relief as I drove past it, as if I had overcome a great fear. It was just a building though. Why would a building of Freddy's Pizzeria get to me so much? I couldn't explain it, but my real job depended on going inside and finding something to add to the police evidence. As I made it to the front door of Freddy's Pizzeria, its cheesy signs and billboards displaying characters towering above me, the terrible blend of colors of the door and window panes staring back at me once more, I saw the last of the staff members, excluding myself, exit the building in a hurry and then slowly walking away, as if she were running away from something inside. She bumped into me and spilled her contents in her bag on the floor and apologized. I helped her pick her things and asked why she was running from the pizza place so quickly. She didn't reply to that question. She was a young, beautiful girl with brown hair with crystal blue clear eyes. Her skin was quite pale, but it suited her well. She was wearing a white shirt with no crease to be seen, and a skirt that went down to her knees. The clothes that she had been wearing gave me the assumption that she worked for a bigger company, and was here to see the manager or something. I hope it was about debt, or something that it hadn't paid, just so it could shut down or something. The woman didn't say anything else and left without saying another word. I simply shrugged it off and went inside. It was very dark inside, so I turned on some of the lights and made my way to my post at the back of the pizza parlor and sat down. The security office had a bunch of old posters of the pizza parlor and a couple of novelty toys. I looked at the security cameras and noticed that I was the only one here. So what was that woman doing here? It was 12 a.m. and the phone rang, making me jump out of my seat as it smashed the silence. I picked up, and on the other side of the phone, a man spoke. "Hello? Hello? I suppose you're the new security guard? He asked, sounding cautious. Yeah, I said stubbornly, nodding my head. Oh, good, yeah. I was the one who worked in the cameras before you, he explained. Sounding more relaxed now that he knew who he was talking to. I glanced at the cameras and saw the characters sitting in a room all together. I knew Foxy was in Pirate Cove behind the curtain so I wouldn't see him. Yeah, okay. Why are you calling me? I asked, getting annoyed. Well, you see, here's the thing. You see those robots on the cameras? The man asked. Yeah, I answered, sounding bored of this discussion. Yeah, keep an eye on them. Something's wrong with their programming, so they might start to wander around the place. And, well, if they see you, you make sure that you're going into the security room or you're inside, and that you shut the doors because, yeah, they'll try to stuff you inside one of the costumes, he explained. So? I said, agitated. Well, right, I know what you're thinking. How can that be bad? Well, you see, it wouldn't, but the costumes they're going to stuff you in are full of wires and metal, so they'll try to push you through that, which can be painful, obviously causing massive injury and a large possibility of death. The man spoke. What? I shouted, astonished, and looked back at the cameras, still seeing all of the characters in one camera, where they should be. Also, keep a lookout for Pirate Cove. I know Foxy is under repairs, but he doesn't like it when the cameras are off him for too long. Anyways, enjoy your stay. Also, remember to check out those 2 doors of yours, because the cameras can't see anyone outside your doors, so if you don't see one of them, make sure you check outside with the lights. And be quick about it, because you'll only have a few seconds to respond. And finally, I have to give you the introduction from the company. It's kind of a legal thing. Welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, a magical place for kids and grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun comes to life. Fazbear Entertainment is not responsible for damage of property or person. Upon discovery of damage or death has occurred, a missing person report will be filed within 90 days, as soon as property and rooms have been thoroughly cleaned and bleached and the carpets have been replaced, and all that other nonsense. But that's all I got to say to you, pal. Good luck. You're gonna need it. The man sneered and hung up before I could reply. I looked up to the cameras once more, and Bonnie had moved and was not in the camera view. I flicked to the next one, and Bonnie's face was right in the camera, and her eyes had turned jet black. I flicked to the next camera, and Bonnie's face was right in the camera, and his eyes had turned jet black, looking at me, straight through the camera. Bonnie stood at the camera, looking through it with a blank stare that caused a shiver up my spine. It wasn't so much the realistically detailed teeth, it was those eyes. They burned themselves into my head, never to be forgotten, and for only a second of the camera going static, Bonnie was gone. I looked to the CCTV feed and furiously streamed to the cameras. I couldn't find Bonnie. He wasn't in any of the cameras. I checked the lights to make sure Bonnie wasn't right at the door about to kill me. He wasn't. So where was he? I heard from the CCTV feed strange noises, as if someone was scratching on a metal wall with a sharp tool of some kind. I streamed the cameras again to investigate, but the camera feed was already set on the camera which the noise was coming from. The kitchen. I got no feed from the kitchen. It was just static. Only audio was available. That's when I heard it.
Arabane. Arabane. Arabane.
My heart started thumping rapidly. What the hell? It knew my second name. I hear footsteps behind me and immediately close the door and turn the lights on. Bonnie was right at my left door and was just sitting there as if any mannequin would have done, in perfect stillness. But the noise still continued. It wasn't coming from Bonnie, and the noise was getting progressively louder. I checked the camera feed and saw that Chica had started to move and was nowhere to be seen. She was in the kitchen. I checked the camera feed quickly, and when I saw Pirate's Cove, I saw Foxy. He was slightly opening the curtains with his mechanical paw and was hiding in the shadows. The only thing I could see was his nose and piercing glowing eyes. The lights to my right flickered insanely, exposing Chica for only a slight second. She screamed, moving her body. Twisting menacingly, I leapt for the switch and pushed the button to that door and closed it. But Chica was already gone when I checked the lights. Chica's voice was demonic and didn't sound female at all. I quickly checked the cameras and noticed Chica had moved back into the main area where everything was set up for some big party, long tables with party hats on top for everyone who sat. In the corner of the camera stood Chica, still looking at me through the camera with her bulging eyeballs. I needed to conserve power. I checked on Bonnie. He was gone too. I opened the doors and searched the cameras, skimming for anything unusual. I saw Foxy. He seemed to have moved the curtains which blocked my sight of him. He was further out this time, as if he was just peeking out of the curtains. Like Chica, Foxy looked at me through the camera, their gaze never breaking. I had forgot to keep an eye out for Foxy. I should try to be more aware of him. I had completely forgotten about my investigation. I needed to find something that would put Freddy's Pizzeria out of business for good, and it would have to be solid evidence. It was 1 a.m. now, and I had 5 hours left. I needed to find something. I wasn't planning on coming back here when it was time to go, so I wanted to get out of here as quickly as I could. I left the safety of the security room and proceeded down the hall. I kept my little gadget to check the camera feed in my hands so I wouldn't bump into any of them. The halls were full of noises, demonic noises, and what sounded like metal pipes hitting the ground echoed throughout the entire pizzeria. I reached a room where a lot of animal costumes that looked similar to Freddy and the rest of the mechanical beasts. I checked the camera to be sure none of them were close by. They were all going to the security room. I searched around investigating all the nooks and crannies of the room. I couldn't find anything, however, what the man said sounded strange. That they will file a missing person report within 90 days, as soon as carpets have been replaced and everything has been thoroughly washed and bleached. So mechanical beasts have killed before. But how do I prove it? No doubt they have connections outside that can win a court case. I then came across a small bear that looked similar to Freddy, only smaller. But what was most chilling about this was the fact that my name was attached to it by a label. Suddenly, I felt a presence behind me. I turned around, and I was grabbed by the throat and was being choked. I could feel pressure in my head. My eyes started to water, and I tried to grab hold of something solid. My hand found something heavy and metal. I didn't care what it was, and I swung my entire arm towards whatever was strangling me. I felt the heavy impact, and then heard a screech. I was let go of, and I fell to the ground gasping for air. I could make out the yellow metal body of Chica standing in front of me. I ran past Chica and heard her screech. I ran for the security room. I see Bonnie coming around the corner as I run to the security room. I close the security door. I closed the security room and the other door. I was safe in here. Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were tearing to get inside. The door seemed to hold them off, and Foxy returned back to behind the curtain. as if it had reset itself. Chica still called out my name, like she was trying to get inside my head. I waited for them to go away so I could open the doors, and I also kept a close eye on Foxy this time. I was lucky to be alive. Chica almost had me. I had kept hold of what I used to escape Chica's grip. It was a heavy pipe. I could use it to cause some damage to the mechanical monsters if I needed to. I opened the doors to conserve electricity and waited. It was 2 a.m. now, and I was constantly on edge. I wanted to look around the office, so I closed the doors again. I looked through the desks and under the table that sat in the corner, when I came across something that caught my eye. A white sheet of paper had been stuck on the wall under the table. I pulled the paper off, and it revealed a hole. I didn't know where it led to. I stuck my hand inside, and what I felt was stone. I then stuck my head inside to look, when my arm was yanked by something, and I was pulled into the hole. I tumbled down the hole, hitting rock-hard, jagged surfaces and floors. As I fell endlessly, I finally landed on a flat, hard, and cold surface. I didn't know where I was. The sound of an old generator gave me an idea I was in the basement. It was pitch black. I couldn't see a thing. I could feel a warm liquid running down my leg. Was it blood? I couldn't be certain, but what else could it have been? I walked forward with my hands in front of me, completely blind. I tripped a little on some boxes when suddenly my hand came across something sticking out of the wall. A switch. I quickly flicked the light on, hoping that light would emit into the room's bulb. Then a small light revealed something that I would never forget. The room was filled with boxes and old shelves. There was nothing inside, but that was when I noticed the putrid smell of death. I must have fallen a ridiculous height if I couldn't smell this from the security room. On one of the walls, where the light of the basement shone brightest, were 4 little children. They were hanging from the wall, all bloody and dead. Their eyes and teeth were removed. Their arms and legs were slashed at with what looked like claws, and every one of them had a large smile cut into their mouths that reached the lobes of their ears. I threw up at the sight and the smell of this horror. I tried to ignore them, but I couldn't help but look. These were children, 3 boys and a girl, all stripped of their clothing and mutilated. It was then that I heard the voice of a small girl.
Mister?
A disembodied voice of a small girl spoke. The voice came from behind me, and I turned around, only catching the sight of a girl. The voice came from behind me, and I turned around, only catching the sight of a girl's foot going around the corner. I thought that she wanted me to follow, and so I did. When I turned the corner, I was met with a hallway. It too was lit by a faint blue light in the form of bars that clung to the sides of the ceiling. I saw a girl, and she headed into the furthest room on the left. I followed the girl and went into the room. There, in the room, was a table. On the table sat a laptop, which had still been left on. There was the usual internet link to browse the internet, but Freddy's Pizzeria had only one Wi-Fi router called Freddy's Wi-Fi. But this one said, "Get out." I ignored the warning. I clicked on the file that was named Lost Children. There were images of children who had been reported missing years ago. I remember all of these from police investigations and from the news. Even desperate parents who hung a photo of their children wherever they could, offering almost everything they had as a reward. Those children were not the ones hanging from the other room. But as I scrolled down, I eventually came across them. The photos of these children, however, were different. They were taken inside Freddy's pizzeria. They were still alive, but were hanging from a wall like they are now. The next of the pictures showed the children screaming in agony as their eyes were removed. These sick bastards won't get away with this. I had the evidence I needed now. I could expose Freddy's pizzeria for what it really is. I took the laptop and put it under my oxter and turned. But at the door stood a girl. She looked frightened and said, But at the door stood a girl. She looked frightened and sad. Her eyes were gone, but her mouth was fine. She was the girl who was hanging from the wall.
Please, help me,
she whimpered. I looked at the girl, shocked. My breath had been stolen from me. I could see right through her. Her dress was faintly noticeable. She wore a dress that made her look like a young princess from a fairy tale without a fancy, shiny, and expensive circlet. Why are you here? I asked, pitying this tortured soul that stood before me, blocking the exit.
Please, you must help me. Help us,
the spirit of the little girl demanded. If she had eyes, I'm sure they'd be gazing at me, pleading for me to save her. What do you want me to do? I asked sympathetically.
Please, you must destroy our prisons. They make us violent. Please, I don't want to hurt anybody anymore.
The girl begged, with a single ghostly tear running down her cold cheek. What are you talking about? What prisons? I asked, tightening my grip around the laptop.
Those things up there, they make us hurt people. More accurately, they make us hurt the security guards that are replaced every week or so.
Why? Why did they make you do that? I asked, kneeling down to the girl's height so she would feel more comfortable.
They're like prisons. They lock us up and take our hatred towards the security guard who killed us and use it to hurt other people who take the job as the security guard.
Who does this? I ask.
I don't know. It's as if it's unfinished business, and we've been placed in these mechanical bodies to settle whatever is keeping us here. But something's wrong with the others. I can't talk to them. They seem to be blinded by rage and unable to hear my voice.
The girl explained, being overwhelmed with fear. So who are you? I asked, feeling sympathy for the little girl.
My name is Lara. I'm the one who resides within the machine called Foxy. I tried to help you, but you ran away. I'm sorry if I scared you.
Lara apologized with an innocent tone in her voice. So how have you been able to escape your prison? I asked, concerned.
I don't know. He hung me up in the wall and took my eyes. After that, I remember waking up. I felt taller, colder, and weird.
Lara explained, getting upset or briefly revisiting her past. He. You mean the one who killed you? Was that the old security guard? I asked, trying to find out who really did this. Lara nods. You asked me if I could help you. What is it that you want me to do exactly? I asked.
I need you to set us free. Burn the robots so that our spirits can rest in peace.
Lara instructed. Burn them? How?
Well, you could try and burn them when they're not active. In the morning.
Lara suggested. They're kept in backstage. I could try, but I can't get caught doing it. I and Lara heard a bang coming from upstairs, and we both looked up. Despite Lara having no eyes, it seemed as though she could see perfectly.
I need to go now. They can feel me when I'm not in my suit. It will give away your position. Hurry! Back upstairs and get out of here. Go!
Lara insisted. And just like that, Lara was gone, as if she was just a part of my imagination. I had been so close to shutting down Freddy's Pizzeria for good. Now this happens. I can't turn the laptop over to the police. Not yet. I feel like I owe it to this little girl to do this for her. It was 3 a.m. now. I didn't want to leave, but I did what Lara said. I quickly ran through the halls to the main entrance and exited the building, not once catching sight of the mechanical beasts that roamed the halls. I got in my car. As I reversed, I saw Freddy staring out of the main door, looking right at me with his eyes following me until I was far enough away. I couldn't believe what was happening. This has become so bizarre. I battle myself over what I should do next. If I was to hand over the laptop to the police, then Freddy's Pizzeria would be out of business and be shut down for good and never to see the light of day. But those children that are trapped in those robots will forever remain in a constant anger and rage. I can't bring myself to do that to them. But if I stay, I might die. And it won't be a painless death. They'll shove me inside that suit with my name on it, and I'll be crushed inside. I shudder at the thought and look at the laptop that sat beside me, thinking about all the things that I had saw in it. It brought tears to my eyes. I saw dozens of children. They were all killed at Freddy's Pizzeria by the old security guard, and no one ever noticed. There was never any need for any of the employees to go down to the basement, and it was restricted from any customers to go inside. It gave me the strangest feeling that the manager knew all about this and was helping the security guard. But why? Day 2. After a hard night's sleep, I got out of bed and rubbed my eyes, and for a second, I swear, I thought I saw Freddy Fazbear's face right in front of me. But it was only for a second. I shrugged it off, but was still a little disturbed by it. Nothing seemed interesting in the morning. I had nothing to do except wait and read a newspaper and went jogging to kill some time. The time passed by quicker as I dreaded the start of work, as I knew what I was in for this time. I thought about how I would go about trying to burn these machines. I can't just walk up to them and burn them. They'll kill me before I can do that. I just didn't know how I was going to be able to do this. Finally, it was time to go back to that nightmare, and this time, I wouldn't be caught off guard. It was 11:50 p.m. when I arrived at work, when I saw that woman again. She looked ill and frightened. I got out of my car and watched her make her way towards her own car. But as she walked past me, I heard her foot clip the path and she fell. I snatched her shoulder before she could make contact with the ground. Her body collapsed and showed no sign of consciousness. Had she fainted? I laid her on the ground and shook her, saying, "Hey, wake up! Come on." She did not reply. I checked to see if her heart was fine, and thankfully, it was. I took her inside and placed her on my chair and sat on the table, remembering the hole that slumbered beneath me. Then the dreaded alarm rang. 12 a.m. And the woman had still not came to. I observed the cameras closely, still thinking of a way to free those children. I couldn't think of a way. I thought about a flamethrower, but how the hell was I going to get something like that? At around 2:30, the woman woke up and looked at me with dread. Hey, it's okay," I said calmly. "Who are you? What do you want?" she asked, panting, her eyes moving across the room rapidly. "My name is Jacob Arabane. I'm the new security guard. You passed out when you just walked by me. Are you feeling okay?" I asked, switching towards the cameras and noticing that Chica was gone. "I shouldn't be here. There are things here that shouldn't exist. Why am I even telling you this? You wouldn't believe me. the woman frantically explained, searching her body for anything that was missing, and then tugged at her bag before getting up. "Hey, wait! You can't go out there," I said. "I need to. You don't understand. We'll die if we stay here," the woman reminded me of the risk I was taking. "I know that, but it's too late. They're already active. See?" I showed the woman the monitor that had its sights on Chica, who was now in the restroom. "Oh God," the woman gasped, then backed away and slumped into my chair. "We're dead. We're going to die. They'll come here and kill us," the woman prophesied, starting to weep. She lowers her head onto her hands and grasps her hair firmly. "We're not going to die. Listen, one of them is helping me. Her name is Lara. She's trying to help me set these spirits free," I explained, smiling to reassure the woman that everything would be okay. The woman then glanced to my right and screamed. I turned around and the lights were flickering, showing Bonnie at the door. I sprinted for the switch, but I was grabbed by the throat once more. My throat was being crushed, but I managed to hit the switch as I was lifted off the ground. The door closed on Bonnie's arm, crushing it until it was separated from its body. I didn't gasp this time. Instead, I just touched my throat, and it jolted as if it had remembered the feeling of life being violently strangled out of it. "Jacob!" the woman screamed, and then pointed to the other door. Out of fear, I pressed the other button and hit the light switch, and saw Foxy. "Lara?" I asked. The mechanical fox nodded and said,
"Yes,"
with that sweet, innocent voice. I looked at the switch to open the door and raised my hand to it. I hesitated at first and looked back at Foxy, looking at those eyes of hers and jagged teeth. My nerves spiked and I hit the button. The door opened and Foxy's footsteps were heard in the darkness. I jumped a little when her metallic face crept into the room. Its eyes looked right at me, and Foxy slowly walked in. "All right, so we need a plan on how to get these spirits free by setting them on fire," I said, trying to ignore those eyes. Even though I knew that under all of that metal lay a small child whose mind was innocent, I still saw a monster. I hated myself for thinking such a way, but if I said I saw a girl in need of help and nothing else, I would be lying. The woman still had her eyes fixed on Foxy, ready to flee down the hall at any sudden movement. "Lara, do you know where we can find something to burn them?" I asked.
"Well, there is one way we can do it,"
Lara hinted. "What?" I asked, eager to hear Lara's idea.
"We could set the building to blow up. It would destroy all of them and set us free,"
Lara explained. "Blow the whole building down? But how?" I asked, confused as to how we would do this.
"The kitchen, it's got gas, so all we have to do is turn the gas on and throw something like a Molotov inside and boom! Easy peasy,"
said Lara. "Yeah, but who's gonna throw it? You've only got one hand and I don't want to die. And I don't think she is too eager to end her life," I explained, pointing to the woman. Then there was a sound of a button clicking, and the door opened. Bonnie's arm had come alive and pressed the button. Bonnie stormed in and headed straight for me, but Lara shoved me away and pounced on Bonnie, growling like an animal. "Go!" Lara yelled, struggling to keep Bonnie pinned. I opened the door behind me and went into the hall. I turned around and Lara pushed the button, letting the door close. "No!" I yelled, and rushed towards the window. I saw Lara and Bonnie fight. They were wrecking everything inside. I couldn't do nothing from my end, but I knew that we needed to get moving. As I looked down the decrepit hall of death, the woman stood close to my side, still a little flustered from all that occurred in the passing hour. I saw nothing more inside my office. The single light bulb that allowed me to see inside was destroyed in the struggle. Inside was complete darkness.
I could still hear noises of the battle taking place, but was unable to do anything from my end. I thought about making my way to the kitchen now, but I almost forgot. Bonnie isn't the only one out. At that moment, I checked my jacket's pockets, but I could not find the camera feed device. I had to use my own eyes to see where everything was now. I could feel the strength of my heartbeat increasing as I took the first numbing step to go further into this black hall. There were lights, but for all the good it does, it kinda made it worse. Every second I dreaded that Chica, Bonnie, or Freddy would shoot out of the shadows and into the light and kill me. My footsteps echoed down the hall. It was different this time than when I ran down it yesterday. It felt like my footsteps were heavier and more risk-taking than running down the hall. It was probably because I was moving at a pace where it would seem that I wasn't moving from afar. I reached the cracked, chipped corners of the hall and stopped, more still than I had ever been. I felt stiff at this point, my body frozen on the spot as if I had been coated with cement and it had instantly hardened. What stood in front of me was the main area filled with party hats and long tables like always, but this time Chica was there. Chica wasn't looking in my direction, thankfully. I backed away back into the hall. Something then caught my attention at the corner of my eye. A door. It was the door to the kitchen. Thank God. I didn't need to go through Chica and the... Wait. Come on. Fuck. The door is locked. I guess the cooks locked it when they left at 6 p.m. Then I noticed that the woman was still at the door that led to my office, still looking in the window with a soulless expression. I walked up to her, still taking my time and being as light-footed as possible. "Hey," I grunted quietly. "We need to get moving," I insisted. The woman said nothing but turned her head to face me. She then blinked furiously for a couple of seconds. She shook her head as if she had been daydreaming and then looked at me again, but with a concerned look. "We need to get into the kitchen," I explained to her. The woman nodded and looked a little unorganized as she fiddled around with her bag and pockets. Yet again, I had to creep past this hall. This time, it felt worse. The cyan tiles of the walls and floor stuck out and hurt my eyes. I stuck to the left side of the hall, as loose wires from the ceiling dangled on the right side. We made it to the main area. Chica was gone now. This was going to be one of our chances to get into the kitchen. I quickly dashed out of the door and made a mad turn and saw the kitchen door. I ran to it, like how a piece of metal would fly to a strong magnet it was only a few inches away from. I grabbed the doorknob tightly and twisted. The knob was rusty and hard to turn, but it was unlocked. They must have forgotten to lock this one. I tried to turn it as hard as I could, desperately trying to get inside the kitchen. It eventually gives way and the door makes a loud unlocking noise, and it echoes throughout the entire pizzeria. I pushed the door open and go inside and closed it behind me. Everything seemed fine, but the noises outside made me discard that thought of everything seeming normal. Nothing about this place was normal. I looked at the ovens and cookers in the kitchen, but I didn't know how I was going to set them alight. My breath felt colder and my chest felt empty. It was a strange feeling, one that often left me in a daydream of my personal health. But not this time. I quickly set my mind back on the task at hand. We needed to switch the gas on. I marched towards the cookers and I set my hand on the first dial I could set my hand on and turned it on full gas. I heard the gas hissing with anger as I disturbed its slumber in the night and quickly turned it back off, in case there was only a small amount of gas left. A faint smell of gasoline reached my nose and made me feel sickly in my stomach. Then we heard footsteps at the door. They were heavy and slow. The woman quickly made a mad dash towards the table and ducked under it. I, on the other hand, was a little slower. But as the door busted open, the lights of the pizzeria went out. The power had reached its limits, and we were now surrounded in darkness. I guess they couldn't open the doors with their hands, as they were much bigger than human hands. I retreated into the shadows, listening to those solid footsteps colliding with the cold, thin, brittle tiles. I managed to squeeze myself between what felt like the fridge and the wall. I made myself as small as possible, curling up into a ball, trying to keep myself out of sight. I kept my eyes peeled for anything moving close to me. But then I saw lights. They shone brightly on the floor like a beam of light you would hear in a fairy tale that shone brighter than any star. But these were different. They ended with two round discs with little beady pupils in the middle. Then, out of nowhere, I heard a scream and things being shoved and thrown. The woman had flipped, unable to keep quiet, and tries to escape. But she was no fighter, and was too slow to run away. I saw the beam of lights focusing on her, blinding her, causing her to be disorientated. She tries to repel the light with her hands, but they are quickly snatched away from her, and she is hauled up by the sides of the light. As the woman screamed, the eyes ignored her, still scanning the room. They passed me, and I was able to tell who it was. It was Bonnie. So what happened to Laura? The woman was then taken out of the room. She screamed for help, but I was no match for Bonnie, even with the metal pipe I had taken with me for the next day. Bonnie left the room with the woman screaming in its hand.
Jacob. Jacob.
A weak, mothering voice called out. Lara? I whispered. Then a hook came around the corner, and what followed was horrifying. Foxy was torn in half and was trying to reach me, using only her two arms. Lara, I said, my heart sinking as I crawled next to her.
Jacob, you have to save that woman. She's innocent in all of this, as much as you are. You can't let her die.
Lara explained. What about you? I asked.
I'll be fine. The other half of me is right there. I'll be okay. I can fix myself up.
Lara explained with a reassuring tone. All right. I'll help that woman. Just focus on getting yourself patched up.
I will. Now, go!
Lara ordered. I then walked to the door with confidence and took a last look at Lara. I won't be long. Lara nodded, then I took my leave. But as I exited the room, I could feel my confidence being sucked out of me. I kept low and quiet and followed the screams. The screaming was coming from the backstage. I kept hidden behind the long tables and party hats. I saw Chica come into the main room again. Chica walked around innocently like nothing was wrong. I snuck past Chica carefully, watching my every step as I inched closer and closer to the backstage until finally I reached the door to backstage. The backstage door had always been left open. I don't know why. Anyway, I entered the backstage and saw Bonnie struggling to keep the woman still as he tried to shove her in a cage. It was probably because the woman wasn't registered as an employee here. They couldn't harm her, so they caged her up instead. Bonnie didn't know I was behind it, so I quietly approached Bonnie and smacked it across the back of the head with a heavy pipe that I had found yesterday. I swung and the sound of Bonnie's body and the impact of the solid metal echoed. Bonnie kneeled to the side as if Bonnie had powered down for a second. I helped the woman out of the cage as it wasn't locked yet. The cage was small. It was probably used as a dog cage or something. I don't know. The woman got out of the cage and said thanks. I led her to the exit of the room, but my arm was grabbed by something strong. Bonnie had reactivated, and it had a hold of my hand. Go! I yelled. The woman then ran out of the door. I could now focus on Bonnie. I swung the pipe at its face and made contact with it. With the strike, Bonnie released me and used the table beside it to keep its balance. I swung at it again, causing its head to smash off the table. The impact was so hard that it hurt my hand, and the pipe flew out of my hand. Bonnie stood once more, and pinned me to the wall by my shoulders, screaming in my face. Bonnie threw me across the table, and I hit a couple of hard solid objects. I fell to the ground on the other side of the room. Bonnie was coming at me again, but I had found something to defend myself with. As Bonnie reached to pick me up, I forced my hand at its face and burned it with a blowtorch, burning out one of its eyes. The sparks blinded me and caused Bonnie to fall to the ground. I quickly jumped back on Bonnie and burned out its other eye with the blowtorch. Bonnie screamed. Enraged, it picked me up and was about to force me inside the suit. I kept my legs to the side of the hole that was the neck of the suit. The strength of Bonnie was unbelievable. Then my right leg slipped inside and was cut up by the metal inside. As a last resort, I shoved my hand down Bonnie's throat and pulled the trigger on the blowtorch. Bonnie went up in flames, but in doing so, she closed her mouth in my arm that I had stuck down her throat. My bicep was being crushed by Bonnie's teeth, and the rest of my arm was being burned in flames. I tried to pry my arm out, but it was no use. As I gave up hope getting my arm out, Foxy burst in, barely able to stand, and charged towards the flaming Bonnie. Foxy forced its claw into the side of Bonnie's mouth, and with all of her strength she pried my arm free with her hook and ripped Bonnie's mouth open. Bonnie fell to the ground and burned. As Foxy helped me out, I noticed something. I shouldn't call Laura Foxy. I know she's inside Foxy, but she doesn't deserve to be recognized as Foxy. Laura helped me out of the suit, and I saw my bloody leg. It was crushed and gashed open. I couldn't stand on it, so Laura used her body to support mine. But as we were about to exit the room, a blue light emitted. I turned my head and saw that a blue light was coming from Bonnie's body. Then there was a flash of white, and a small boy stood on top of Bonnie's body. "Thank you," he said, and faded. Now, day 3 was upon me, was upon us all. Laura helped me back to my office. Everything was a mess. The table had flipped, wallpapers ripped, and everything was on the floor, covering the tiles of the room's floor. I sat in the darkness, looking at Lara with pity, as this girl had to suffer being in that body. I sighed and rested my head back on the chair. We still kept an eye out for Chica. I and the woman started talking to one another. I found out her name was Lily. She had in her bag that Lily looked at my leg and tried to wipe off some of the blood with a few napkins she had in her bag that had been thrown into the corner of the room during the fight between Foxy, Lara, and Bonnie. "We can't come back here. It's too dangerous," Lily explained. "No, we need to help these kids. We can't just leave them here to suffer because we fear death," I replied. "Look at you. You're a mess. You're not even fit enough to walk in your condition." "I'll be fine. Look, it won't be long until 6 a.m. Now, it's 5:30, so we can get this bandaged up then. For now, just check the doors to see if Chica is coming," I explained. "Do the doors still work?" Lily asked. "No, the power's out, remember?" I noticed that Lara was acting strange. She was just staring out of the door in a fixed position, never moving. "Hey, Lara," I said. Lara didn't reply. She just stood there, at the door, fixed on the spot. I got up from the chair, but a huge pain surged in my leg, and I fell back down on the chair. The noise from that seemed to shake Lara out of whatever daydream she was having. "You shouldn't move, Jacob," Lara said, checking my injury. "We can get it fixed," I said confidently. We waited for the rest of the night, until it was time to go home. Since my leg was badly injured, I couldn't drive home, so Lily offered me a lift. We couldn't take Lara with us, because she seemed to be imprisoned in the pizzeria. She couldn't exit the building. Even when we opened the front doors, something was stopping her. It was like some kind of invisible barrier. We said goodbye to Lara as she returned to her place in Pirate Cove. I went home after that and went to bed. The next morning I went to see a doctor so he could look at my leg and maybe give me something for it, maybe to numb the pain sometimes when that surge would come back. I didn't want to catch an infection off it either, but it seemed that Lily cleaned it well enough for that not to happen.
I would recommend that you don't go to work the next couple of days, Mr. Arabane. You could make it worse for yourself.
The doctor explained. Thanks for dressing that, doctor. And don't worry, I don't plan on doing anything reckless, I lied.
Good, good. Have a nice day then, Mr. Arabane.
Yeah. You too. As I got up from the chair, I saw something that was colored gold. A second later, it looked like it was Freddy, but was a golden color. I instantly felt a massive surge of pain in my head. I groaned and shook my head a little, then the golden Freddy was gone.
Are you all right, Mr. Arabane?
The doctor asked, getting out of his chair. Yeah, I'm... Ah! Another surge of pain grew in my head, then everything went black. It felt like I was weightless. I was surrounded in darkness with a voice whispering my name.
Arabane. Arabane. Arabane.
The voice called. Who's there? I asked.
Arabane.
The voice whispered again. Then there was a small golden spot in front of me. Everything else was black. I couldn't see anything else but this golden dot. With closer inspection, it was a golden Freddy. I then found my footing in the darkness, but was unable to run. I couldn't run. My body seemed to have a mind of its own. Everything felt numb. The golden Freddy was sprinting towards me, screaming insanely. I closed my eyes as Freddy's face was only a few feet from my own. Then silence. Nothing was heard, but then a flash of light rested upon my eyes. Then I found myself still in the doctor's office, the doctor looking down at me with a torch in his hand, shining it into my eyes. I gasped, and the doctor put his hand on my chest.
It's all right, Mr. Arabane. You're all right. You're in my office.
What happened? I asked.
You passed out on your way to exit my room. You said something that I would recommend you see a psychiatrist about.
What did I say? I asked.
Well, I know you didn't say it intentionally, but you said, I'm going to kill you all.
What? Are you sure?
I'm sure indeed, Mr. Arabane. You should really get that checked out as soon as possible.
The doctor suggested. Thank you for telling me. I'll be on my way now.
All right. You be careful out there, Mr. Arabane. You wouldn't want to have any of those episodes when you're on a busy road, or behind the wheel for that matter.
I'll be fine. When I got back home, I laid in bed, hoping to recover a little bit. I didn't use my car considering that it was not with me, so I had to walk to the doctor's and walk back home in the soaking rain. When I got back home, I laid in the bed, hoping to recover a little bit. I kept thinking about what the doctor said to me. Why would I say, I'm going to kill you all? I wouldn't say that. I was feeling a little chilly because I had to walk to the doctor's, and when I walked back, it started to rain, so it must have got to me a little. I drifted off to sleep, but my alarm clock woke me to go to work at 11:30 p.m. I got out of bed and took my time with my injury. I stepped lightly on the ground, still feeling pain in my step. I went out of the front door, but my car wasn't there. I had forgotten again that my car was still at the pizzeria. But then I hear the ignition of a familiar car turn on. Lights emit in the dark, revealing Lily's car with Lily inside waving at me. I hobble over to Lily's car and she rolls down the window. come on. I've been waiting for you for half an hour now, Lily said, smiling, trying to keep a good mood before we had to enter the Nightmare Pizzeria. As we got back to the parking lot, my car wasn't there. It had been removed. Fuck! Where did my car go? I asked, limping to where I had parked it. Did you leave the keys in there? Lily asked. No, I got them in my pocket. I checked my pocket for reassurance. They were there, so how come my car wasn't where I parked it? It didn't matter for now. Anyways, I went inside and sat on my chair. The power had been restored, and everything had been cleaned like nothing happened. The light bulb had been replaced. Everything was exactly the way it was before. Then I noticed something. The silence. I looked around for Lily, who was with me only a few seconds ago. Now she wasn't here. Lily? Lily? I said. Looking back at the camera feed, Bonnie was nowhere to be seen. All the stuff in the backstage was organized, and I never heard anything about any vandals coming in to destroy Bonnie or whatever. Nothing was ever said. It just got stranger and stranger. Chica had started to move, but Freddy was also gone as well. This was the first time Freddy had moved since I was here. Jacob, a voice uttered. Jacob, a voice uttered. I looked to my left where the voice came from, and Lara stood there, in her metal form, looking at me through the shadows. Her eyes glowed in the dark, forever reminding me of what I was up against. Lara stepped in, and I concentrated on the camera feed as always, but in the reflection, I saw Lara coming closer and closer to me. I turned around on my chair and I was grabbed by the wrists and hauled up. Lara! I yelled. Lara carried me into the hall, hanging me from her arms like Jesus on the cross. I squirmed and shook, but Lara kept her grip tight on mine. I squirmed and shook, but Lara kept her grip tight. Jacob! Lara screamed. Lara, stop! I yelled. I can't! It's not me doing it! Lara then kicked me from behind and I flew to the ground. My legs started to sting. Fuck! That hurts.
Hello, Jacob,
a dark voice said. I looked up, but no one was there. Who are you? I called.
Oh, Jacob, come now. Have you forgotten about your visions already and bad headaches?
That was you? So you can get to me even when I'm not in Freddy's Pizzeria? I said.
That's right. Have you ever wondered why the staff never quit their jobs here? Why they've never called the police or even tried to warn you? It's because as soon as you become an employee here...
There was a pause in the voice.
I will never leave you.
A voice to the right of my ear whispered. I jerked my head to the side, but no one was there.
But, Jacob, you have something of mine. A laptop. Ring any bells? Bring the laptop back here tomorrow night and leave. Never return. And I will see to it that you escape with your life.
You're stupid if you think I'll fall for that. As soon as I hand you the laptop, you'll kill me. So no, you can't make me.
I can't make you. Are you certain?
I heard ringing in my ear, and the pain in my head spiked, and I fell to the ground. It was then that I noticed that Freddy and Chica were standing in the corner of the room looking at me with a judgeful gaze.
Or would you rather join us, Jacob?
As the voice said that, Freddy pulled out a cart and wheeled it down towards me. It displayed that suit again, completely clean of what happened last night. No blood was seen on it.
You did take away one of my children. But no matter. you can make for a fine replacement.
Fuck you. Gah! I felt a solid smack on my back, and I fell to the ground. The wind had escaped me, and I was gasping for air.
Maybe we should teach you something. What will happen to you if you don't give us the laptop?
Lara grabbed hold of my injured leg and started to twist it slowly. I screamed in agony as I felt it being pushed to its limits before snapping, but before it could, I heard Lily's voice. No! Lily smacked Lara across the head with a wrench she had found lying around, and came to my aid. Chica and Freddy screamed demonic-like. Jacob! Lara yelled, and came to my aid. Lara came back in control of her body, and carried me on her shoulder, and we made our way back to the office and shut the doors behind us.
You can't escape,
The dark voice yelled. Chica was coming from the right, and Freddy was coming from the left. They smashed themselves into the door trying to get in. We were trapped.
Arabane!
Chica screamed, causing dents in the door. Jacob, Lily, go for the hole, now! Lara cried. No, I'll not leave you here, I said. Lara put her hand on her head. She seemed to be in pain. She then turned her head to look at me, and thrust towards me, but stops herself. I quickly back away. I'm not going to be able to keep myself under control for long. Go, please. But, Lara, go! I looked at Lily and dashed towards her. Go through the hole now, I demanded. Are you crazy? I don't know where it goes, Lily said. Would you rather stay here and let them rip you apart? I asked. Alright, fine. Where's this hole you're on about? Under the table. Hurry! Lily went on all fours and went under the table. Where is it? Lily asked. What do you mean, where is it? It's right... I look at where the hole should be, but it's not there. You must have sealed it up, I said. Get out of there, I ordered Lily. Lily comes out from under the table and I take her place. I go on my back and kick the wall where the hole should be. I hear a crack and I kick it again, which causes a dent. I repeatedly kick the wall until the hole is completely reopened. Then Chica's arm comes through the metal security door, but Lara grabs hold of it and rips it off, bending it backwards using the door. Go, Jacob! Lara screams. Lily, come on! I yelled. I throw myself down the hole and curl up into a ball, covering my head, and tumble down the hole, remembering all the bumps and scrapes as I revisited it. I land in the basement again and dust myself off. I then look up the hole, ready for Lily to come out, but she never did. I call her name. There was no reply. Could she have been caught? I hope not. I needed to continue alone from here on out until I could find Lily again. I looked at the children again, their bodies rotting away down here. The smell still brought disgust to me. I could only imagine how much pain each and every one of them had to go through. They didn't deserve this. No child deserved this. I took a few minutes just thinking about these children. They had families and friends, and none of them know what's happened to them. I'm gonna put a stop to it now. As I approach the door, there's a loud bang at the door. I take a few steps back and run into the first room I come across. The room had a desk that stood before me with a pile of paper sitting neatly in the middle of it. It was nothing of interest, just news about what happened years ago. There was also a locker inside the room that I could hide in. I opened the locker, and inside is blood and dried guts. I nearly vomit, but the fear of ending up like this stops me, and I go in. The smell made me sick to my stomach, but I had to stay alive. I heard the door being broke down, and I watched through the vents of the locker. It was Chica. She knew where I had gone to. But the thing that frightened me was not that she knew where I was. It was the fact it was carrying Lily's head in its yellow hand. No! But the sadness is soon replaced with anger. I keep calm, and as Chica walks past my door, I climb out of the locker. The heavy pipe I'm carrying won't do much, but my anger drives me now. I sneak up behind Chica as she investigates the room and smack its left leg, and the leg falls off. Chica falls to the ground, and I quickly stick the pipe through the back of Chica's neck and pry its head off as it's down. The head rolls a couple of feet away from the body. I follow the head and smash it repeatedly with the pipe, screaming in anger and sadness. Fuck you, you piece of fucking shit! I yell, crushing the head with every swing of the metal pipe. I then back up against the wall behind me, exhausted, and slide down it to the floor. I sit there looking at Chica's mangled head, but then looking at Lily's. I start to cry. This girl was only trying to do what I was trying to do. I swear, this place will not stand the day after I destroy them all. I sit there in silence with my eyes closed, listening to the noises from upstairs. But then I heard something, and a blue light flashed in my eyes. I slowly opened them and see Lily standing before me. Lily? Lily said nothing. She was like Lara now. I could see right through her, but I could see her. Lara merely smiled and kneeled down and said, "Get up, Jacob," and then disappeared. I summoned my remaining strength and got off the floor. I looked down at Lily's mangled head and stormed to the door. But then my leg was grabbed. I turn around and Chica's beheaded body yanks my leg and throws me back into the room, and I collide with a wall. I cough violently. Dazed, I see Chica's body crawling towards me. I look to my left and see a large heavy bookshelf standing in front of me. I pick myself up. I quickly head to the left side of the bookshelf and turn it so it was facing Chica and pushed it on top of her. The thunderous sound followed by the silence spoke for itself. Chica had been destroyed, but the soul still remained inside. I waited in the basement until 6 a.m. before I left. When I exited the basement, everything was normal again. My office was exactly the way it was before, and the wall was replastered. Could this have been the work of the voice? I approached Pirate Cove to see if Lara's still active, but it seemed that she was no longer active. She looked a little roughed up, some dents in her body and arms. So I left and walked home. Day 4. I could not stop thinking about Lily, her head being carried around by Chica like it was some sort of damn trophy. As I was driven to work, I remembered that the voice wanted the laptop, but he wasn't getting it. I knew that he would try something tonight. The only way I could find out was going there and facing another night. I got a cab to Freddy's today, as I couldn't find my car when I exited the building yesterday. The cab driver was a little shocked and disturbed when I asked him to drop me off at the pizzeria. It seemed to have that kind of effect on people that the name itself gave people the creeps. I paid the cab driver, and everything seemed fine from the outside. As I entered the building, I saw something that still haunts me to this day. I saw on the wall a message that said, "Welcome, Jacob," written in blood. It sent a cold chill down my spine, and a trail of blood led to the left side of the hall. I followed the blood trail, and it seemed to be leading to the kitchen. I followed the trail into the kitchen, and there he was, Freddy, holding Lily's head just like Chica did. It wasn't even 12 a.m., so how did it get here? I looked at my phone. 11:59. Oh shit! I shouted. The time shifted to 12 a.m. Freddy's eyes disorientated me. as it glowed brightly into my eyes. I heard metal footsteps coming towards me. I backed away. I slipped and banged my head on the door behind me. It had closed itself. I saw the two round rays of light focusing on me. They became bigger and bigger. But behind me, there was a loud thud. Then a moment later, I heard a desperate scream. Lara came through the door, diving right over my head and into Freddy. The both of them fought ferociously in the kitchen. Lara stuck her hooked hand into Freddy's stomach and ripped it open, but Freddy grabbed Lara's busted arm and yanked it off. Lara then bit into Freddy's neck and they fell into the floor. I heard Lara yell, "Jacob, the cookers, turn them all on now!" as she occupied Freddy. I immediately did what Lara said and turned all of the cookers on, and anything else that spewed gas. Lara and Freddy tussled and rolled over the ground. I tried to avoid the action, but Freddy managed to throw me into some of the counters in the kitchen. My ribs cracked, causing my body to jolt. "Jacob, run now!" Lara screamed. I jumped through the hole that Lara made as she entered the kitchen and turned around. I saw Lara grabbing hold of her hooked arm, which lay beside her, while I was pinning the Freddy animatronic with the rest of her body. "Lara, no!" "Goodbye, Jacob," Lara uttered. Lara then forced her hooked, severed arm into the cooker that sat beside her and Freddy, and fiercely scratched at the wires and propane tanks inside, causing a massive spark. The next thing I know, there was a bright light, and I found myself lying on the ground outside of Freddy's pizzeria. The pizzeria was engulfed in flames, and I was badly injured. I had been pushed out by the blast and forced through the window that stood behind me as I exited the kitchen. I was about 10 to 15 feet away from the pizzeria. I watched as it burned into the ground. It was finally over. I picked myself up and felt my leg aching in pain. Once more, I gazed at the fire that consumed Freddy's pizzeria. But amongst the rubble and flames, I saw something golden. I looked closer and saw that it was Freddy. Not the one Lara was fighting, but a different Freddy. His eyes were black, with red irises. Its teeth were jagged and covered in blood, and his eyes leaked a black ooze. And his body was golden, and he wore a top hat, just like Freddy did. But this one was burnt to a cinder, barely hanging on to the golden Freddy's head. He was the last one, and I was going to finish this once and for all. As we stood face to face with one another, the fire roaring as it erased the pizzeria from top to bottom. As the seconds crawled in, it was time to finish this nightmare once and for all. My eyes locked with the golden Freddy's hollowed out, black abyss-like eyes. A fire burned in my stomach, a fire full of hatred and disgust.
You couldn't have just left. You had to be the hero.
Why did you do this?
Why? I love children. The screams they make when they are in pain. So beautiful. It's like music to my ears.
You bastard!
And what about you, Jacob? Why did you put your life on the line to save someone who was already dead?
They might have been dead, but you were keeping them imprisoned in a world of pain and torture. I'm putting a stop to this, now.
What with, Jacob? You've got no weapons. All you have are your hands. Flesh and bone won't be enough to take me down.
Maybe so, but I won't go down without a fight.
I don't plan to either. I will get Lara back, and this time I'll make sure she never sees the light of day.
I noticed that one of the golden Freddy's legs was barely attached to his body. Over my dead body. I charged at the golden Freddy and plunged my uninjured leg into the golden Freddy's weak leg. As I kicked it, The Golden Freddy's leg flew into the fire of the burning building, and Freddy collapsed to the ground, dragging me with him. Luckily though, I managed to navigate my arm through one of his hollowed out eyes and crush the damaged eye inside. Surprisingly, it was just enough to get him to let go of me, but the price was heavy. I was unable to use my left hand now. Even though I had done all of this damage to the Golden Freddy, he rose once more as I backed away from him. Without making a sound, he charged at me, ramming me with his oversized head. I was stuck to his body like a fly to a car windscreen. He carried me across the main road, and we plummeted into the forest below. Feeling myself uncontrollably spinning and bashing into things with tremendous force, I thought that I would be unable to walk after this. I must have fallen unconscious on the way down, as I found myself only moments later pinned to a tree. A sharp branch had gone through my left shoulder, and I could see the Golden Freddy in the distance, almost completely covered by the thick fog of the forest. I tried pulling myself out of the branch that had impaled me. The pain was agonizing, but I needed to move. I could feel the branch lodge through my shoulder bone. The slightest movement caused excruciating pain throughout my entire body. That's when I heard a raspy breath in front of me. The Golden Freddy had awoken. His head slowly turned in my direction. At first he seemed dazed, but then a wide grin escaped him.
Arbane,
he whispered, as he began to crawl towards me slowly. He was now cut in half, and it was only from his waist up that he could control now.
Arbane,
he repeated. The pain was still intense, but if I didn't get out of here soon, I would be facing more unpleasant pain. I struggled and pulled my body off the branch. The branch had a tight grip on me and was refusing to let go. Every second felt like my body was literally on fire. The Golden Freddy was getting much closer. "Come on!" I yelled at myself. It was no use. I needed to snap the branch off the tree, but doing so could possibly mean the end of my left arm forever. I gritted my teeth and jerked my body to the right. I could hear the roots of the branch being snapped and twisted. I then jerked my body to the left, and I feel my shoulder pop out of place. I scream and gasp for breath as the Golden Freddy laughs in amusement.
Arbane,
The Golden Freddy screamed almost at my feet. I give one large twist, and the branch finally gives way. I yanked the branch from my left shoulder, using only my right arm, and raised it to the Golden Freddy, as he tried to crush me with his sheer body mass. I point the sharp-ended branch towards the Golden Freddy's head as he begins to collapse on me. I close my eyes and think of Lara one last time. But after a few seconds of nothing, I opened my eyes. The sharp tree branch had penetrated through the thin layer of metal that was covering the Golden Freddy's neck. The branch had traveled through his neck, up through his head, and through the back of his skull. The Golden Freddy was motionless, and leaked a black liquid from his mouth and eyes. It was over. As I wandered through the forest, losing blood at an alarming rate, I followed the sound of sirens, and they led me back to the raging inferno. I was approached by medics and taken into the ambulance. I was laid on the bed, and I rested. I could not help but smile. It was all over, and justice would be served. As the ambulance drove away from the pizzeria, I saw Lara and Lily standing in the middle of the road, waving me goodbye. After I had recovered from my injuries, the court cases about the future of Freddy's Pizzeria depended on me. I provided the court with sufficient evidence and there was little the owners of Freddy Fazbear could do to stop it from being destroyed. After the court cases were won, and it had been a whole week which had passed, I decided to go to Freddy's Pizzeria. I wanted to see Lara one last time. As I drove down the highway, I could see the deconstruction happening, and the barbed wire that prevented me from getting any closer. I parked my car on the side of the highway and walked up to the wire fence. I gazed at the pizzeria and simply thought of Lara. "You came back?" I heard a voice from behind me. I turned around, and there she stood. Lara. Her eyes were back, and she was no longer see-through. She was wearing pure white clothing and looked like she was actually standing there. She held a teddy bear in her arms. "Lara," I whispered. "Why did you come back?" Lara asked, curious. I just wanted to see you again." "Oh," Lara said with a glum look on her face. "What's the matter?" "Well, since I'm dead, I'll be going soon. Today, to be accurate." "Where?" "Where do you think, silly? Heaven," Lara said, smiling. "Oh, so you did come back." A familiar voice rang from my right. "Lily, it's good to see you again." "You too. You know, I really wanted to know more about you," Lily explained. "About me?" "Yeah." "Why? I mean, there's not much to tell," I replied. "Not much to tell," he says, like he didn't destroy an entire building, battling mechanical monsters, and not to mention annihilating an entire company single-handedly. "Well, that's not entirely true. If it weren't for Lara, I probably wouldn't be alive myself," I explained. "Jacob," Lara said, looking sad. "What's wrong?" I replied, kneeling down to Lara's height. Lara launched herself at me and tried to give me a hug. "Thank you," she whispered in my ear. Don't mention it, kid." "She's really gonna miss you," Lily commented. "Yeah, I'll miss her too. But I'll see you all again someday." "What are you gonna do now?" Lily asked. "What else am I gonna do? There are plenty of more cases to be solved and other people need my help." "I see. So this is just the beginning for you." "Well, we'll be waiting for you, me and Lara. Right, Lara?" Lara nodded as she backed away to Lily's side, wiping tears from her face. "Well, I guess this is goodbye, Jacob," Lily announced. "Yeah." "Bye, Jacob," Lara said. "Goodbye, Lara." I gave a wave of goodbye, and they were gone. As I drove back home, I felt better about it all. Lara was finally free from her torment, as well as the other 3 kids, and justice had been served. But it wasn't long before I was on another case. But that story is best left for another time.